Moving on, we'll go back to Sophia, or wisdom. Wisdom was one of those eons that was birthed I told you would be important. And she watched all of this, watched these marvelous and radiant beings all around her, and a desire would start to rise within her. She wanted to birth her own eon, and she would act on this desire. But she did so impatiently, impulsively. Dum da dum dum dum. You see, she did not involve her divine partner. She did not obtain permission from the Father. But since she had descended from the Father, she too was full of his tremendous power. She gave birth to a new being that did contain some of her divine essences. This being, it didn't resemble the other immortal beings that spurned its creation. It was hideous and misshapen, a description of a snake with a lion's head, whose eyes burned like lightning. That would be an apt description. It was born like this because Sophia she conceived it alone, and in fear and shame Sophia would cast out her son from the divine realm. This realm, I called it earlier as the fullness, was also called the pleroma. Not sure if I mentioned that. She did this in hope that none of the other inhabitants of the fullness, the pleroma, this perfect realm, would see him. Yep, definitely done out of shame and guilt. And to further conceal her son, she enveloped him in a shining cloud and placed him on a throne which was in the middle of it. Sophia would name her son. We will use the name Yaldabaoth, which is said to maybe mean child of chaos. He has also been called Sakla, which means fool, and also Samael, which means blind god. He was also called the Demiurge in the tale I had heard years ago. And Yaldabaoth, not knowing of his origins, some tellings say he thought he was all there was, the one I heard did, would then mate with the mindlessness within himself. Just a slightly icky way of saying he generated 12 archons. Okay, so the archons in Gnosticism were malevolent beings which controlled the earth as well as many of the thoughts, feelings, and actions of humans. One Gnostic test, called the reality of rulers, say that they all had bodies that were both male and female, and their faces were those of beasts. So they weren't truly male or female, and they definitely weren't human nor animal. Archon is also Greek for rulers. So these 12 demonic beings would shortly start ruling over the earth. Check out the full video on the channel. And remember, have a day.